Right then, ladies and gentlemen, it remains a perfect pink streak for Australia because they go 9 out of 9, and that meant England are 2-0 down in the current Ashes series. And it doesn't, of course, make for good viewing for all the English viewers watching this one. We've got an Englishman with us, the journalist that he is, James Buttler, right now just sipping on a cup of coffee, I'm guessing, just trying to soak up what's happened in Adelaide because it was going to be a dramatic day 5. Joe Root went on to say we can't keep making the same mistakes. He's right.
Well, he's not wrong. And I mean, what he was saying, I think, after the match was that he felt the bowlers had bowled the wrong lengths. And it sounded, I mean, knowing Joe Root and having seen him and his interviews post match, he only says things if he wants them to be noted. He tends to keep his cards quite close to his chest and protect his players. But he's obviously had a little bit of a discussion with the bowlers. There has been a bit of a disagreement there amongst the bowling setup, and Joe wants them to be a bit fuller in length. And effectively, I think his frustration, he seemed to be frustrated, was that they've made the same mistakes 2 Test matches running now. You can forgive anybody for making a mistake in life, but if you repeat your mistakes, that's when you start to become under fire. And I think Joe Root, there was some definite frustration from him post the second Test match, understandably so.
Yeah, indeed. So where did it all go wrong down for England, James? Because at the end of the day, we almost sound like broken tape recorders. It's the first innings which keeps coming back to haunt them. What do they need to do to rectify this particular problem going forward? Because they can still pull off something miraculous. I know that's, of course, wishful thinking from an English point of view, but I mean, it could be done if they sort their batting out, or is it a long, long thing away?
I think the Ashes have gone. I think now is you have to look at this now as a 3 Test match series, and try and get back on track and try and restore some careers, because people's careers are on the line in an Ashes. For English and Australian fans, the Ashes is the biggest thing, rightly or wrongly. And if you have a tremendous Ashes series, you go down as a cricketing legend. If you have a terrible one, your cricketing career can finish quite quickly, or your international one can. There's a number of people, I think, in the England lineup who are under fire, and they need to just re-establish themselves now and just come back. And I think, as an English fan, first and foremost, I want to see them actually showing some fight. And you mentioned first innings runs. That is where England are just messing up, isn't it? If you score, was it 227 and 147 as your first innings totals? That is not going to make you command a Test match. If you post 400 in your first innings, then you can actually set the fields you want. You can actually get the bowlers to be a little bit more experimental. You can attack at times and not be too worried if a couple go for 4, because a wicket's around the corner. When you've only got a paltry first innings total on the board, you are always chasing the game. You're always just trying to keep yourself into it. And I think the frustration, for this second Test match, was that the only time we saw any real fight, any real gritting your teeth and resolve. Well, there's twice, wasn't there? There was when Joe Root was getting hit in the abdomen, for want of a better phrase. He gritted his teeth. And there was the day 5 kind of rear guard from Josh Buttler and Chris Wokes. Apart from that, it was a little bit tame from England. That's the concern. That's the disappointment.
It really is. And when you look at it, of course, in hindsight, which is a beautiful thing, England would have been relishing this opportunity in Adelaide under the lights, of course, with Jimmy back, Stuart Bragg. They didn't have that much of an impact in the game, but they also had other things going their way. Of course, Pat Cummins didn't captain this test, as you can see in this graph here. It was actually Steve Smith. But also, Jai Richardson coming in, Michael Nesser coming in. Just a word on Australia and how clinical they were, because ultimately Labuschagne pocketed the man of the series, man of the match, and that's 8 different man of the matches in the last 9 pink ball tests. That goes to show that they're doing certain things right, Australia.
Could be too early to crown the man of the series just yet, Avanish, but it could be minus Labuschagne, because he's obviously started very well indeed, hasn't he? But I think, just going back to your very start of that question, the pink ball element of this Test match, I think, was completely overplayed by the England's media, players, supporters. England have lost their last, 4 now, away pink ball Test matches. Australia have played 9, won 9. This was never going to be a free hit for England. And I think with pink ball, I think England put a lot of their selection into this pink ball basket, bowling bowlers that could bowl swing. the likes of Chris Wokes and Jimmy Anderson, but setting up the team to try and maximise what is basically quite a small part of the day, that twilight period where the ball can actually start to swing a little bit. It's only a very small part of a day's test. For the rest of the day, often the pink ball does next to nothing, and you have to work for your wickets and you have to try and dig in and stay in the match. So I think, for future advice for England would be for pink ball test matches, just pick your best team, play your best cricket, and if you suddenly get a pink ball in the hands of a Jimmy Anderson in the twilight period, make the most of it, and that's the cherry on top. But I think Australia have, obviously it was the start of the test match was a bit frantic, wasn't it, with Pat Cummins, etc. Missing out. You got a tremendous opportunity for Joe Richardson and Michael Nessa, and I think they've taken that to some degree. I don't think they've done themselves any harm. They rocked up and bowled nicely. I just thinking England look like a team that are really struggling for form and confidence in alien conditions. Australia look like a team that are now, obviously after 2 test match wins, absolutely jam full of confidence. Everything's going right. They're taking wickets, they're scoring runs. They're in a very healthy position, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And it makes you think, really, because we talk about England's frailties with the bat, but with the ball in hand, do you sometimes get that impression back home that they're a little toothless and kind of a one mold attack with everyone kind of being and doing the same thing? We talk about Ben Stokes trying to be that Neil Wagner for England, if you like, and bending his back and
Yeah.
bowling short balls. We saw that little passage of play against Labuschagne. And then Vokes not having the best of tests. Broad and Jimmy, of course, doing what they do. But you compare that to Australia's attack, James, and they have variety with Stark's left arm. They have the spin and line, of course, and Nessa and Richardson were similar but different, if you know what I mean. So is that also a big factor to consider for England going forward?
Yeah, I mean, Mitchell Stark was terrific in this test match, wasn't he? He's as good as I've seen him bowl in I was going to say red ball cricket, pink ball cricket, whatever. He's got a very good record in pink ball test
He
matches,
does.
Mitchell.
Yeah.
But I think, England's attack, as I say, was picked to be swing, and it was very samey after a while, wasn't it? I can understand not wanting to play Mark Woods in every single test match. Mark Wood's got a bit of a fragile body, has had injuries down the years, and they've always tried to kind of keep him on the park. But if you're going to play your fast bowler, you play him at the start of the series when he's still in the series, not bring him in for test matches 4 and 5 when you're already 3-0 down. So maybe I think, there's a few things that haven't gone England's way. They won the toss in the first test match, maybe made the right call, maybe made the wrong call, whatever. They just didn't back up that toss win. And then they lost the test match in Adelaide when actually winning the toss and batting first would have been a major plus. And we saw Australia grind out that day one. They didn't go, it wasn't pyrotechnics. They just preserved their wicket. They batted sensibly. They batted quite boringly, didn't they? If you bought a test match ticket for day one as opposed to day two, which was an exciting day, you'd probably think, I chose the wrong day for this one. But they laid the foundations there for then going on and getting a big score and then declaring when they felt the pink ball was going to do a little bit under lights on that second evening. So everything went the right way for Australia. That isn't any excuse, though, for England, because England, I don't mind if England lose. As an Englishman, as a journalist, as a broadcaster, whatever my hat is, I don't mind England losing. I like to watch good test cricket. I like to see close contests. I like to see the best in the world going toe to toe. And at the moment, it's far too one-sided, this series, and Australia are having it far too much their own way. England now need to show some real fight. They need to show some resilience. They need to dig their heels in. They need to look Pat Cummins, Steve Smith, Marnus Labuschagne, Mitchell Stark in the eyes and not back down. Joe Root, David Milan with the bat have been terrific. The rest of the batting lineup has been an absolute shambles. The bowling lineup, I don't think can take too many bits of criticism. Obviously, Joe Root's not happy with the lengths they've bowled, but unless you get runs on the board in Test cricket, you are not going to win Test matches. And England just are not batting well enough.
Yeah, it's tough times, of course. When you look ahead in the grander scheme of things, this is part of the World Test Championship, so England need to really play catch-up cricket in that sense too.